Real pleasure to host Webb Armentrout today. He's Group Vice President, Global Partners at Workday. Now, you guys know I've written a few books about ecosystems, especially SAP Nation. So this is going to be a conversation about Workday Nation. Workday has done a much better job managing its ecosystem, but I'll let Webb talk about, what's happened during the pandemic and what other changes are coming down the line. Webb, thank you for joining me. Why don't you spend a couple of minutes talking about your background, brag about yourself for a couple of minutes.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Vinnie. And I do look forward to actually being able to do these in person, just like everybody else. Look forward to getting back on the road here shortly. But, just like you, I am passionate about ecosystems and partnerships. In fact, I got tapped on the shoulder almost 20 years ago when I was working for a small technology firm here in Atlanta to open up a partnership with Microsoft. And for me, it was almost as if my career just simply presented itself. And really for the last 20 years, I've never varied. I've been in and around alliances my entire career. First with a couple of smaller companies here in Atlanta, then with some a large global ERP that you may or may not be familiar with. And then for the last 5 years, I've been at Workday and just have been very impressed with the way that Workday approaches the ecosystem. And although I have the honor and privilege of helping to lead the global partners team now, I have to say that I wasn't involved in the foundation in the early days. That is really to Dave Duffield and Anil and to folks like Jim Bazzini, who all have helped establish sort of the approach to the ecosystem and creating that foundation that is unique. And it was apparent to me when I first got to Workday how unique our approach to managing partners and looking at the ecosystem is versus most of the other legacy ERP providers. But Vinnie, even the cloud providers, the newer cloud providers who take a much more sort of open approach to the ecosystem, it's very different.
Webb, I'm going to tell you a funny story. So first time I met Dave Duffield, early 90s, I was at Price Waterhouse. And it was a courtesy visit. I thought it'd be pleasant. He just ripped into me. Dave is such a nice guy, rips into me. Price Waterhouse is making Workday PeopleSoft look bad. What are you talking about? And then I go, okay, you don't like Price Waterhouse. Let's talk you and me personally. So it got better after that. But you can see the passion. He was like, you guys are making our projects too long, too expensive, whatever. So I think that has flowed through into Workday also. But Webb, last year, my God, the world turned upside down, right? Everybody had to move to virtual projects and so on. Tell me what happened last year.
Yeah, well, it was, just like everyone, just about this time last year, we're recording this in April of 2021. But if we go back in the time machine to sort of March and April 2020, just about a year ago, the world was just trying to figure out, how to handle all of these things. And that's where that foundation that I mentioned around our ecosystem really comes in as a key differentiator. And two examples really come to mind. The first was on March the 30th. We got all of our partners together. We have 32 at the time, 32 deployment partners around the globe. And we hosted a conference call, Zoom session, to share best practices on how to take customers live virtually. Now, fortunately, because of Workday's modern cloud architecture and the fact that we were a truly native cloud system, we didn't have as far to go in terms of this virtual go live approach than some of our competitors. But what really amazed me, what really surprised me was the sense of community that came through in that call. The fact that these theoretically competitors were coming on to this call, sharing best practices, being open and transparent about how to, the challenges that they face and how to overcome those challenges and those hurdles, given everything that we were looking at as we went to an entirely virtual world. And that to me spoke to the community, and really this idea that all of our ecosystem shares that same focus, that same passion for customer success that Workday has. And I don't think, Vinnie, that would be possible in an ecosystem that didn't have the approach that we've taken, which is focusing more deeply on a select group of partners than partnering more widely with anyone who would like to come. And I know it's a challenge, and believe me, as the leader of the team, and have to manage, when we're looking at how we invest in partners, but also when we say no to particular partnerships with very strong companies, why we do it, right? And that's really that customer satisfaction.
And you had 30 of them in the same Zoom session?
30 of them.
And
then
they share details. I mean, usually they are cagey with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
and Vinnie, they were talking about the fact that Workday at this point had been around for 15 years. There were some folks, some real veterans that were laughing because they talked about the fact that when they used to help position Workday and they could do a virtual payroll run, and people would push back and say, why would I ever need to run payroll virtually? And they would guffaw and laugh and say, look at where we are now. But sure enough, there was that modern architecture that Workday brings to the table, plus our ecosystem coming together to deliver payroll runs virtually, right from day one. The second example that comes to mind is actually this time again last year, April 1st. KPMG takes South Shore Hospital in the Boston area live, right? So we're talking about the middle of the pandemic, when things, people don't know which way is up. The horrors of New York City are prevalent as to what's going on there. And here, KPMG and Workday are going live at South Shore Hospital, full platform, including supply chain. Just a remarkable story of the power of the partnership, the power of the platform, and the focus on what is required for our customers to make sure that they've got the most up-to-date and enhanced system available to them right out of the gate. And Vinnie, that KPMG South Shore story, I could sit and rattle off 31 others for each one of the partners that has a similar go live story in and around that same time frame.
I remember that time everyone was spooked, right? So being in the hospital setting and all that must have been even more intense. So yeah. Why do you think? I mean, I cannot think of too many other vendors where 30 partners would come to the room and kind of be nice to each other. Yeah. Why do you think Workday's been able to do that?
Well, it really stems from, as I mentioned, our approach, right? Partnering very, very deeply with a select group of partners and investing in them and creating a sense of community that they can all benefit from. And, at the end of the day, we also have what I would say is 4 pillars of our foundation that separate and distinguish us. And they were on display on that call and as well as in that go live scenario, right? Every one of our partners goes through the same ramp to prime process, regardless of market, regardless of experience, regardless of product, right? So we are very focused on supporting our partners through a ramp to prime process. Every one of our certified consultants has to recertify with every release. That's about 2 releases a year. In fact, we're going through it right now. And I am pinging the alliance directors on my team to make sure that we are going to we'll hit 97, 98% recertification on the most recent release 21 R1 in the next couple of weeks. And that ensures that all of those consultants are up to date on the latest Workday technology. The third thing that
right there, you're reasonable. I know some of the bigger vendors have tried it, miserably failed at that, right? Individual consultant certification. That's remarkable that you're able to tell these firms to make the investment. I'm surprised they don't push back and say, you're too hard.
Well, two things on that, Vinnie. One is it stems again back to that it's ingrained within Workday from day one, and it stems from that experience that Dave Duffield and Anil brought to the table. This wasn't the first time they had built a company focused on enterprise planning and management, and so they took all of the experience that they had, and when it came to this maniacal focus, this true north on customer satisfaction in the ecosystem, they knew that these were some of the rules and some of the ways that they needed to instill in the ecosystem right from the start, and it's paid dividends. Just like the third, what I would say the third pillar is the same solution framework, right? So we are all deploying from a standard methodology. Now, that doesn't mean that partners can't bring their own unique skills to the table and unique IP, but at the heart, when it comes to deploying Workday, there is a standard methodology that they all are trained on and follow, again with unique differentiation at the edges.
So, you guys have announced somewhat, not too ambitious, but you're looking at 10 billion in the near future. Anything going to change? I mean, will you need to rely more on the bigger partners? Tell me what, look ahead 2-3 years. What will be different?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, I don't think that foundation that I mentioned, the three things that I mentioned, along with the fact that we work so closely with our services team and our through DA and our business development organization with our partners in the field, those kinds of foundational things won't change. But we do need to adopt, we do need to innovate, we do need to grow in order to achieve that $10 billion goal that Anil has laid out. And the ecosystem is absolutely at the center of that. And I'm excited to talk about that because I think that it's this combination of the foundation plus the innovation that the partners bring to the table that will get us to 10 billion. Doing everything, and it's really a transformation that we as an organization are going through. We are going from an ecosystem that's focused on the tactical deployment and certification and the things that made us successful, but we need to now extend that into solution creation, tapping into the scale and growth, the scale and reach of our ecosystem, both large and some of our more boutique partners, but also tap into their IP and their experience to take Workday's platform, the core of Workday, to places that we would never be able to get to. I think we've got a slide, if we could bring that up and take a look at what I'm talking about. We've got 4 different pillars, platforms, whatever you would like to call them, that our partners are working from and extending there's the word extend, enhancing the solution core offering to solve larger, more complex challenges. And we've just seen tremendous interest in all 4 of these platform areas: Prism Analytics, Adaptive Planning, Workday Extend, which is our cloud platform, as well as the Workday Integration Cloud, which is that actual original solution platform for our software companies. And I'll touch on that in just a little bit. But these core solutions, really do define the ability to extend the solution, really help define where we are going as an organization.
Okay. Clearly getting to 10 billion, you'll have to verticalize more, you'll have to do some interesting things, finance, HR, procurement, a solid core, but you'll need to extend a little bit. So where do you see the partners playing? How do you see that increasing complexity? How are you going to handle that?
Well, this concept of solutions is not new in the overall world of enterprise resource planning, enterprise management. But the way that Workday is approaching this, right, with a customer at the center, at the true north, leveraging that foundation, those four core sort of differentiators of our ecosystem that help us drive that customer satisfaction, plus allowing that solution innovation really creates the best of both worlds. And we have to step forward and lean in with our partners and incent that development and encourage that development. And one of the ways we've done that, just this year, last month, we announced our first Industry Innovation Award winners. And an Industry Innovation Award was based on a partner's ability to create a templated offering, an accelerator, leveraging Prism Analytics or adaptive planning. And so some great examples of that in the healthcare space, KPMG developed and won an award for their labor distribution, which was built on Prism Analytics. It's an analytical solution designed for labor in the healthcare industry. One that I love talking about is the student demand planning using adaptive planning that Huron created. This is taking something that every university and institution of higher education faces, which is they've got multiple sources of revenue, right? They're getting revenue from the government in the forms of grants. They theoretically are getting money from an endowment or some type of alumni network, right? That's providing that another source of revenue, and then obviously tuition. And how do you plan against that, right? And Huron took that experience that they have consulting in the higher education space, combined it with the experience that they had with Workday Adaptive Planning, and created that solution. And Vinnie, that's a great example of a solution that we're never going to get to from a use case perspective in our development, right? But also, even if we did, we wouldn't have the domain expertise that Huron has to bring that to bear, to make it, to bring it to fruition and go and position it at a university. It's a great example of the type of innovation and solution extensions that we're seeing. And it really, for us, is critical in our shift to the growth to 10 billion, because it allows us to scale. It opens up additional use cases for that core financials, HR, and planning solutions that we offer. And we have to expand our addressable market if we're going to hit that $10 billion goal.
Did I hear that you're working with IBM on their Maximo product?
That's right. That's that.
So that will mention industrial markets, asset-intensive markets, right?
That's a great example of that, of the SI partner ecosystem helping us with that, with the Workday Integration Cloud, right? Maximo, and you've got essentially a class-leading enterprise asset management offering and a class-leading enterprise cloud management solution coming together to solve really complex challenges in industries like the utilities or transportation, or even state and local government, which is a strong focus for us, already as a core industry. But think mass transit, think those asset-intensive, vehicle-intensive components of the municipal government, and now in partnership with Maximo, we'll be able to address those opportunities as well. Again, providing a nice opportunity for Maximo, but also a great opportunity for Workday to extend into new and different industries.
Great. On the slide you had Extend, your development platform, right? How are partners taking to that? Now, given that obviously they're getting pressure from everybody to use their platform, right? So SAP is probably saying use my cloud platform, and Google is saying use mine, and all that. So tell me how they're working with you.
Yeah. So Extend, our cloud platform, is absolutely quickly becoming the key pillar for solution extension and solution creation. Right. This is the platform that will allow the most robust development, the most robust enhancements, and allow the partners to take that IP that they have and truly bring it to life, leveraging the core Workday platform and solutions. Right now, we've got 11 partners that are cleared for the Extend program. and 250-ish certified resources. Now, keep in mind that we're doing this the Workday way, right? And those numbers that I provide you are great examples of the investment that our partners are making. And some people might say, well, why isn't it in the thousands? Because again, we are being very thoughtful in our approach and how we roll this out to ensure that our partners are along with us in this journey and driving impact, but maintaining that customer satisfaction. And they've developed, Vinnie, some terrific solutions. We mentioned IBM and Maximo. IBM also developed a solution for return to work that brought in data from Watson and the Weather Channel, as well as Prism Analytics and Workday Adaptive Planning. Bring that together with that core HCM, and you've got an extremely robust return to work solution in the marketplace. They were not the only one of our partners to develop return to work solutions. Kainos out of Ireland has done one that has seen a lot of adoption, both here in North America as well as over in Europe. So really innovative things going on in the return to work space. But the other thing that we are seeing, and I'm not surprised by this, but I love to see when I look at all of the different solutions that are being developed, at the creativity and the problem solving that these partners are doing. So you mentioned earlier your time at PwC. PwC has created an offering to solve a regulatory requirement in the financial services industry over in the UK called Senior Manager Certification Regime, SMCR. And I'm not an expert in this. And most likely nobody within Workday is an expert in these regulatory requirements, but PwC is, and they're taking the platform, they're taking the information that is in core Workday and solving unique business challenges. And Deloitte did the same thing in Australia around superannuation, which is the it's equivalent to the 401k, right? It's a retirement planning requirements and reporting, and they use the Extend application. So again, outside of the US, areas where we're never going to develop deep expertise or functionality, the Extend platform and our partners are perfect.
You had three examples right in the last few minutes, right? Kainos and PwC and Deloitte. So good to see the global ecosystem come into play also.
Yeah.
Clearly, the SIs are important from a deployment perspective. But, when you look at someone like Salesforce, they've also built a pretty strong software partner ecosystem, right? Now, Leanne has presented about Workday's venture companies and so on. But talk a little bit about your software partner ecosystem, because you're going about it differently than many others.
Yeah. Well, the same approach that we've taken on the services side, informs our approach on the software side, right? So again, being very thoughtful about how we partner and with whom we partner, and the business challenges, the solutions that we're creating with our partners. We mentioned Maximo earlier in the conversation, and that's a terrific example. But it's just one of many examples that the Workday Integration Cloud. We've got about 250 software partners that we are working with across not just the office of the CFO, the CHRO, but the office of the CIO, and how we make sure that we bring a complete offering and a complete solution to our prospects and customers. And you can't do that without an open and connected ecosystem, but doing that with those partners that we know and have developed deep relationships with, so that when things do go sideways, we've got strong relationships in order to make sure that ultimately that customer is taken care of. And that's what we see in that same ecosystem. I would say on the software side, I think we'll see us continue to focus as Workday's pushes further into the financials business, the financials market, and those industry solutions are so critical. we're going to have to make sure that we offer deep partnerships, rich integrations, and supporting and support for those solutions across. And so I think that that's an area that we need to continue and invest and explore in order to reach the full potential of Workday, and again hit this $10 billion number that we're all marching towards.
So let's recap the last year. I mean, clearly it was mind-boggling, right? I mean, and you saw that with all your integrators and moving virtual and so on. Tell me what else? I mean, one thing that I hope has happened, for years I've been telling them, automate more, guys. Well, virtual kind of gave them a chance to see we can do things from a distance, right? Tell me what else you saw, what subtle changes you've seen in your partners in the last year?
I think the word that comes to mind is two words: flexibility and resilience, right? So this idea that the ecosystem was tested, right? Workday was tested, our relationships were tested, and what the resiliency and the flexibility in those, not just in the tactical, the what, but also the how. And it's the how on the relationship side that really proved the model out, right? That proved this idea that focusing on these deep relationships where we have executive relationships at the top of the house, be they the smallest boutique partner that we have in the ecosystem, all the way up to the largest of our global SIs, all of those relationships matter in a time of challenge. And if the ecosystem looked more like other platform providers, other ERP providers, I don't think they would be able to say the same thing of having those executive relationships at the top of the house when things get challenged. And that makes a big difference in the last year and in the times of challenge that we've seen, and not only weathered the storm, but excelled and grown. And I've been amazed at looking at our certification numbers continue to climb, during these challenging times. And it's made Workday a better company, right? Like our training and certification in a virtual sense is now much easier to consume for our partners who are obviously all over the globe. And so we're seeing partners take advantage of changes that we've had to make to adapt and adopt, and it's really made a big difference.
What else, Webb? I mean, that we've covered a fair bit of ground. What else?
No, Vinnie, I just appreciate the time. I just want to make sure that we sort of end where we began, which is this idea of the thing that makes Workday different is this foundation and focus on customer satisfaction, but it doesn't change the fact that we have to evolve and move in order to innovate and grow. And I couldn't ask for a better team to support that on the Workday side, or a better group of partners to go on this journey with as we drive into new markets, create new solutions, solve really complex challenges for our joint customers, leveraging a terrific platform, but also a terrific set of partners. That, for me, is the exciting piece as somebody who's built a career around alliances and partner management. It's an amazing time to be at Workday, and it's an amazing opportunity that we have in front of us and are already running to capture.
Well, thank you. Look forward to seeing you one of these days on a Delta flight, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
You're in Atlanta, I'm in Tampa. I'm sure we'll
Concourse B, Vinnie, we'll make it happen, I'm quite sure.
Well, it'd be better to do it over a cup of coffee or something more when we're on the ground, but look forward to it. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.